Here are the questions and answers to Q&A session number 9. Question 1. How do we get placed in the life and circumstances we are given? Is it chosen by us, being manipulated and shamed for our sins before we get here? And do we agree to specific life challenges, setbacks, etc.? Some people are born into horrible lives. Is it all luck of the draw? Do good deeds ever lead to positive outcomes, or is it just randomly generated? What about bullies in jobs? We are forced to work for low vibrational narcissists, despite our knowledge of the matrix, coupled with our greatest efforts to help other people with love and compassion. Is there a relief? Do we just hang in there till we die? Retirement age keeps moving up. Answer. We usually have no say in where we will be reincarnated, despite what we hear from some people. This is why we sometimes see quite enlightened people in primitive jungle tribes, etc. We carry our experiences with us, buried under a veil of amnesia. Ultimately, we put ourselves in the situations we are in by the choices we make. Although many people do not want to admit this or look at this truth, very few people are true victims to their life's circumstances. Yes, good deeds always lead to positive outcomes in one way or another. That outcome might not come immediately, but the growth we experience by making choices that are the most beneficial for everyone always bring us forward and closer to that which we intend for ourselves. We have to be mindful of what we are feeling at the core level. This is what tends to lead us in one direction or another. We can have all the positive thoughts, affirmations, deeds and affections on the surface level, but at our core level, if we are vibrating at the very low state of being, this is the path we are following. As for work situations, we all have choices here as well. These choices may seem impossible or very hard, but that does not mean that choices are not available. No one is living your life but you. If you are not in a situation which is beneficial to yourself, then change it. Only you can make changes you wish to experience. This can be very difficult, we understand. It takes very much courage to step out of what is comfortable and dare to be authentic and true to yourself and what you really want. Good luck. Question 2. It has always perplexed me. Does one become a hermit and reject all connections and have no loved ones, or does one just detach emotionally and recognize that the things we feel are just inserted programs to fulfill Enki's plan and keep us distracted? Perhaps pets were put here to make us form attachments, and as one wise commenter said, to also harvest our emotions. What would you do if Jesus appeared to you and told you that if you wanted to get to the gates of Orion, assuming they were convincing enough and you believed it, you must continue your journey without any attachments to loved ones and be on your own? When is an attachment an attachment? I suppose to awakened people understand this, so it might not apply, but who makes the rules? Answer. You've answered your own questions here. We should not worry about other family members' journeys, as everyone has their own individual lives, which will bring them individual experiences, where they will make their own choices according to what is beneficial for them. There is enough work involved on your own individual journey that to take on someone else's journey as well will ultimately become a distraction away from what we should be doing and focusing on. This is the attachment. An attachment is an emotional investment, and the taking in of another person's spiritual progress is if it were our own. We should love, nurture and care for others, as well as pets if appropriate, while we are here. There is very much to be gained from healthy relationships that are built with love. However, we need to mature enough to allow others to make their own decisions that benefit them, even if they are not what we would want for that person. The wanting of someone to do something for what we think is best for them is impeding on the other person's free will or choice, and we are taking on and assuming the role of that person's experiences and journey as our own. We need to act with love and be willing to allow others to make their own decisions, even if we disagree with them. If we really want what is best for others, then allowing them to make their own choices is what is best. If I met Jesus in life or after death, I'd go the opposite way. Of course, those who don't have the information we have would naturally go with him. Question 3. Could you please do something on Aldebaran, if you have anything, and some of the Third Reich secret societies and earlier Gnostics and Templar connections to it? That stuff always fascinated me. There is almost no material on this in all that cosmic disclosure scene, or whatever to name it, or anywhere else for that matter. And if there is, it always puts bad light on all of that, which I find suspicious. Answer. I don't have much information on Aldebaran, other than it's a star system to which Enki fled after he was cast out of Orion. Also, the women of the Real Society in the early to mid 1900s supposedly channeled beings from there. Regarding secret societies, it's fairly easy to see who is in charge of which secret society. If there is any kind of enlightenment and spiritual growth involved in it, it is Enki's society. If the rituals and teachings are dark and degrading without any particular spiritual growth involved, it's Marduk's group. As we pointed out in video 100 about Enki and enlightenment, he wants us to grow, while Marduk does not. Examples of Enki's secret societies are Freemasonry, the Rosicrucian Order, Theosophy, Rudolf Steiner's Anthroposophical Society, the Golden Dawn, Druidism, and the Bavarian Illuminati in the 1700s. Examples of Marduk's societies would be the Church of Satan, and Satanism in general, Church of Seth, and the Black Order, Third Reich. As we can see, the way to understand whether an agenda is orchestrated by Enki and Marduk, we need to look at their objectives and the consequences. Is enlightenment and spiritual growth involved or not? These are the main guidelines in order to distinguish. It would be too much to go into the Third Reich in this video, but the Nazis were Marduk's pawns. Question 4. In the Wes Penre papers, there was a physical fight between Enki and Ninurta that ended with the castration of Enki, and he used his son Marduk to continue the line of hybrid humans. I never understood. The castration is just for his body at this moment. Why doesn't he just change bodies and clone his body to full capability, or regenerate his penis? In Anton Park's book, Enki, who has no sex to begin with, has a penis transplanted by a surgical operation. They have the technology to do that? I don't understand. Am I missing something? Answer. Yes, the fight was a physical fight, but in a slightly higher, different density. Ninurta did more than castrating him. He also put a spell on Enki, meaning he manipulated Enki's capability to copulate with a human body. Therefore, it doesn't matter which body Enki produces, he'll be incapable to have sex again. An analogy would be to compare it to a human male. If there is a psychological barrier in the person's mind, or something is going on with him in the astral, he might not be able to have sex, even when his physical body seems to be healthy. Question 5. When seeing the white light after death or near death, there is an overwhelming feeling of love, ecstasy, nirvana, whatever you may call it, to lure us to be recycled. Beyond the grid, out among the real universe, does this feeling of love, ecstasy, nirvana exist for us, or is it neutral? Answer: nothing is original here. Everything that exists here also exists beyond here. There is nothing new under the sun can be said for our reality here, which is really just a copy of what originally exists. This feeling of love, ecstasy, nirvana is our soul energy. This is why it feels so good to us and why we are attracted to it. It is what have been taken from us, lifetime after lifetime, and used to manipulate us. When we say that we are keeping this recycle system alive, we really mean it. They are using us to lure us back into reincarnations in many ways. Since this love, ecstasy, and nirvana exists within us, and we exist within the universe, then we can say with 100% certainty that the universe is not neutral, for if no other reason than the fact that we exist. If the rest of the universe has no experience with the human state of being, they soon will. We are most definitely not neutral. Question 6. About a queen. You know of Val Valerian and his Matrix books, and he writes about the queen. She's a danger, addicted to cloning and control. His portrait of the queen is very different, contradictory to yours. What do you think? I know he was an agent of CIA. Maybe he makes a good misinformation agent. He seems very cultivated and aware of the exopolitical and metaphysical situation. Answer: I was just gonna say that John Gray, aka Val Valerian, worked for the CIA, but you mentioned it already in your question. His Matrix series, which I have read, is a mix of advanced metaphysics and disinformation. As you probably know, he is very anti-feminine and holds women in very low standard. He also writes that you need to become homosexual to exit the Matrix. And yes, he is portraying the queen very negatively. She's female, you see. However, keeping in mind his view on the feminine in general should tell us something. He certainly had an agenda that was not in our best interest. Also, don't get tricked by how a person portrays himself or herself. Some people are better actors than others. It's the information that's important. Question 7. One of the many reasons I began my spiritual path in the first place was to try to move out permanently of a city and a state I have literally outgrown on so many levels now for the past 20 years, never resonating with the people here, no matter how hard I have tried. And I still have countless unpleasant, negative and painful experiences from time to time. I see so many other people moving on with their lives. Why can't I? Is the AIF messing with me for some reason? Yes, I have and still am trying to get alive. The irony of it all, Wes, is people are moving here in droves, thinking this place is paradise. It's like people here are of the Emperor's New Clothes syndrome, where nothing is ever bad here. Answer: no, the AIF is not messing with you. They don't have to. You are messing with yourself, it seems. Everyone has unpleasant, negative and painful experiences from time to time. If you watched our previous videos, we talked about a state of being in which we feel that we are always lacking. Is this what you are feeling? If this is what you are focusing on, then that is what you will always notice. We suggest you try to shift your perspective and way of thinking, little by little, to notice the abundance in your life. Stop and smell the roses is a cliché for a reason. It's true. Try to put your focus on something you enjoy every day, no matter how small. This will begin a shift inside you. If you find yourself resisting this shift, then figure out what it is that you are holding on to. If you are holding on to this state of being which refuses to feel better, then there is something with this state of being that is, in a way, comforting to you. Maybe there is an underlying fear there that needs to be confronted. Maybe you have felt this way for so long that you are afraid of change. There are many people who feel the same way you feel. We are not trying to assume what you're feeling, but rather just offer some ideas to ponder, and hopefully, with a little self-attention and nurturing, you will find what it is you need and do and step out of it. One thing that stands out in your question is your focus on everyone and everything around you. Turn your focus inside and see what you find there. We suspect there are your answers. As for trying to get a life, you have life. You don't have to try to get it. What does this life that you are trying to achieve look like for you? What do you want? Once you have determined that, make choices that will keep you on that path and moving forward what you want for yourself. We wish you the best. Question 8. I think that Urantia and OSB books may be interesting to analyze. What is the degree of truth in them? Who transmitted them and for what purpose? Both these scriptures are based on Enki's philosophy. In other words, they promote Enki's agenda. However, there is some interesting information in them. I particularly like the Urantia book's story about Lucifer's rebellion, Urantia book paper 53. It's the most accurate story about the rebellion I've encountered so far. Both scriptures can be found for free online. Question 9. Wes Penre, what about our guides? Since we all have two since birth, or is that story another lie? Is the artificial soul the one responsible for our karma? Why some of us keep on attracting the same kind of partner time after time? Can you make a video on these? Answer. No, we don't believe it's a lie. So much information tells us that we do have spiritual guides. What most people refer to as spirit guides are most possibly selected discarnate who work for Enki, somewhat helping us on our path toward enlightenment within the system. In many instances, there could be also programs who are preset to do the job. Karma only exists within the matrix, and it exists because the overlords put it there. They inflict a karmic debt upon us between lives via the life review session that souls go through before they are recycled. Then the question is if we really are attracting the same partner over and over. However, we often do attract the same kind of partners across different lifetimes because we have unfinished business. We fail to handle certain aspects of our relationships in previous life, so they keep on coming back. Question 10. We are already aware of a planetary grid surrounding the Earth, but you mentioned the solar system being quarantined, and Saturn being somewhat of a base where high-dimensional beings reside, yes? If this is so, is there another grid at the edge of the solar system, and could these beings pose any threat to us at the moment of our departure? Answer. There are actually two solar systems. One is located within the matrix, the solar system we can perceive, and one exists in the car. The solar system we perceive is not real, it's a copy. We don't need to worry about any grid at the edge of the solar system. Once we pass the Earth grid, we're free. There is no other grid we need to pass. Question 11. After several years of studying quantum physics and esoteric gnosis, I have come to the realization, 100% fact, that we indeed live inside the planet. Known as SET, concave Earth theory, I call it concave cellular. Within this realm, the stars and planets would be very close, not light years away. It seems the powers that be have literally flipped everything, and history is truly his story. Have you ever thought about this concave scenario and how it would change your perspective on the matrix grid? Answer: this is a theory that we are exploring right now. We will acknowledge that this is not an impossibility. We, like you, seem to find many conclusions that support it. We can't say with 100% certainty that this is true. It is only a theory at this point, albeit a good one. It's a very interesting concept, and if we connect the dots from what we already know from the Wes Penre papers, WPP, and extended research, the concave Earth makes a lot of sense, not to be confused with the flat Earth theory though. This answer might take many listeners by surprise, but it does fit into the bigger picture. Question 12. Technology only exists in the 3D worlds correctly, and in the 4%. And once you get in the car, that kind of thing doesn't exist. It's basically imagination, so to speak, nothing material or solid, unless you wish to experience that again. Basically just thought. And once you're in the car, your thoughts are the only thing that matter. And we are free to roam about in all of Mother's creation's imagination, thoughts, and ways of being. We're a constant stream of unending imagination. Answer: the car is the nano world, i.e., it's very small from our perspective. However, when we get out of this matrix, we will not experience it as small. It will feel like normal size. The human souls were born as creator gods by default, which makes us a little different from other star beings out there. We will most certainly operate in many different dimensions in order to create. However, it's our understanding that we will still have 3D bodies in the car, just like the rest of the star races. We will be assigned 3D bodies. Nonetheless, we will be able to nano-travel with our fires to other dimensions and create whatever we want to create. And when we do so, we will not be doing it in our 3D bodies, which will stay stationary on in the star planet that we will call our home.